And welcome back, fam bam, to another episode of Flow and Tell. Two videos ago, we had started with this little, the multi-part discussion about desire, right? And I think the first one, we were talking briefly about desire in regards to relationships, and we thought we would come back to that for another video. But then in the last video, we went into desire on a different context. We went into my New York story, which was a different lens of looking at desire and how it can motivate a person to do something, right, or not do something. So in this one, we decided we'd come back, kind of readdress where we were in the relationship / desire conversation, and again, I'm not an expert in in relationships or romance or whatever, but from my experience, I would say that oftentimes the relationship is going to, at least the success of it, I would say is largely dependent upon each party, each person really knowing themselves. And I think that's something that's not necessarily encouraged by one's environment, to really know yourself and be honest with yourself. What your likes, your dislikes, what you're willing to put up with, what you're willing to concede or compromise on, or, man, we don't have guarantees in life, right? But in my opinion, I think a lot of the issues, at least, in my experience in my life, meaning relationships around me or relationships that I might have been in, and again, we're speaking kind of on a, quote unquote romantic nature. A lot of the time, I would say, is, one or both partners haven't been able to distance themselves and heal from emotional traumas, right? Meaning that you can become an adult and be very functional intellectually. You can become a professional. It's not an intellectual thing. You can, physically be an adult. But as we know, you can operate in this world with the intellect and the physical, but there could be emotional wounds that can be hidden to a certain degree. And, they come out, they're going to come out at some point, especially, if a relationship gets intense or whatever, we tend to see into a deeper facet of our partner or ourselves in how we can be triggered by things, right? Something in another person can be mirrored back to you, and it can actually trigger you and you not even be aware of why you're triggered, and then you can turn around and project it back onto them. So it's like it's a tennis match. It can be back and forth if one or both parties are not willing to concede that maybe there are emotional wounds that, again, can go back to childhood, whether it be any number of issues that one may have found a way to coexist with in order to grow up and to go to school and get a job and function. You're functional as far as the outside world is concerned. But what you kind of pick up as you kind of get more into, for those who are getting or are already into a more spiritual connection, say more so than a traditional or a traditional religious connection. The spiritual connection is always within, and the connection, if you're kind of doing it the way that the sages teach, is you're going within, and that's why we call it the hermit's journey. Meaning that you no one can do it with you, because what are you doing? You are coming to terms with yourself. You are coming to know yourself, maybe in a way you've never known yourself, right? When you go within, you have to deal with certain memories and certain things that may come back up. You may even question God, and why did I have to go through this? Why did I go through what I had to go through? And then you find yourself in a relationship with another person, and you can be triggered by things, again, because that person can actually mirror back to you things that you might want to work on. And again, we're talking, emotions, because, as we talked about when we were talking about the biblical stuff, the red horse, remember there's the white horse, the red horse, the black horse, and the pale horse. And the white horse was, that comes out first is the spirit, because that's what's, that's the eternal part of you. That's the connection to what we would say is a connection to the Most High, to the Creator, to the primordial consciousness, is symbolized as the white horse, the unblemished spirit. And then we said the red horse represented emotion. So you have an emotional body that you take on. And then we said the black horse was the intellectual. You take on, that's that mental activity. Now you have an intellectual dimension to it. And then, of course, it all manifests in the physical form, right? The vessels that we operate in, but that certain things can happen, right? And we know that the reason why the red horse was, as it says in Revelation, was given the power to take peace from the earth. Well, we know the earth, we're talking about, a couple of different levels. One, we're talking about the mind, but another way, we're also talking about the heart, because if heart is an anagram of earth. So everything is macrocosmic, microcosmic. As above, so below. As without, so within. Everything is a mirror of itself, of creation, if you will, the manifestation. It's on just different levels. So that red horse, it's like if that horse or our emotions, you would say, well, then why does it seem to be painted that the emotions are potentially a negative? You don't want to be weak and you don't want to be soft and this. That's not it. It's the emotions is the actual, think about it. Without the emotions, would life really be worth living? If it was just all intellectual and physical, it'd be very mechanical. Your emotions is what makes life worth living, meaning joy, passion, peace, love, whatever. We know the flip side of emotions, hate and this, that, and the other. But that the reason why that red horse is closest to the white horse, the spirit, is that in the physical, that which connects you in the physical three-dimensional world to the reason why you're even here is feeling. I feel good, I don't feel good, I want to feel this, I want to feel that emotion. But it's a dual-edged sword, it can cut both ways, and if it's been wounded in your development, then what happens is you can be very functional on an intellectual level or a physical level, right? But you could still be locked or stalled into a lower emotional evolution relative to yourself. There's an imbalance, but it can be covered, as we know, but we know you never really escape it, right? You got to go to sleep every night. You got to have interrelationships with your family, and things are going to get revealed at some point. So I would say it's not so much about that relationships are very difficult. Yeah, you're getting two hearts and minds together and, on the same page, and hopefully you're in agreement on this and you have an understanding of what you're actually agreeing to. But it's also that each individual, it's a struggle for all of us to really kind of have a grip on who we actually are. Because society has in large case, your family, your school, your religion has in a large case defined to you who you are and what you like or what you should like, right? But when you peel all that back, which is what going within is all about, which is facing the dark shadows within as well, that's when you discover, wait a minute, if it was said that the kingdom of God is within you, then I can't be all bad. I can't be a loser. I can't be someone who's of no consequence. But you can be all those things if you don't identify as being worthy of the kingdom, right? Treating yourself like a king, treating yourself like a queen, right? You're going to get mirrored back to you the way you feel about yourself. If you are operating in duplicity, you're going to get that mirrored back to you. You may not notice it at first, but that's the way the universe works. And that's why we're here in Earth School, to learn these lessons, right? These illusions get stripped away. And so to me, the relationship, again, when we think of, like say in the old days, a marriage and you had to get a marriage certificate and a this and a that. But what does that have anything to do with the actual bond that we would hope that we would have with the other person that supersedes anything they can put on paper? But, things have been reversed where, we're put at the service of a certain tradition or a certain belief that may not be something that we actually hold to deep within ourselves. So that's why the ancient Egyptians, ancient Kemet, emphasized, know thyself. And by extension, and then you will know the gods or God. Because remember, the kingdom is within. But if you don't know yourself, how can you know God? What's going to happen is you're going to know yourself and you're going to know your conception of God through somebody else's description in somebody else's eyes, right? But you're unique. And that's why relationships are tricky, because we are really all unique. And the more that we know about ourselves, the less likely we're going to knowingly put ourselves, shall we say, in a kind of jeopardy where, we see red flags, but we ignore them, because we know more about ourselves and the experiences that we've had. We want to say, hey, if I need help, if I need to work through something so that I can live a better life, a better quality of life, then that's what again, going within is all about. That's why I say with meditation, it allows you to be quiet, right? And let the universe speak to you within the only language that matters, the language between you and the universe, you and God or whatever that quiet is, let that happen. And then I would propose that you're going to have a better shot at being the whole person you want to be in a relationship, and that you'll have a better shot of attracting, or at least being able to identify someone that mirrors back to you what you would like to see in yourself, right? You can't expect out of somebody else to be at a certain level, and you're not at that level, when we're speaking, whether it be spiritual or emotional or whatever. So that's what I would say about, the relationships, is that the more that we know ourselves, the better decisions we're going to make, the better partners we're going to be. But if you're hiding from yourself, if we're operating under the illusion of what other peoples have painted us to be, because remember, we don't live in the past. So the way I might have or Tony might have been in the past, it doesn't matter. It's in the past. It can't be changed. But you're here to grow. The whole idea isn't to be born, turn 21, and that's it. Hey, the way that that Lynx is at 21, that's the way he's supposed to be the rest of his life. No, that's not the way it's supposed to be. Remember, the whole idea is wherever you start, which you have very little control over, the idea is where can you go from there? You're not supposed to be the same person next month, next year, next decade that you were in the past. Why would you want to do that? Why would you want to stay on that same loop? Why wouldn't you want to grow and expand so that when you come together in a relationship with another partner who's of a, more or less of a like mind, man, then, the sky's kind of the limit, right? Because you're looking beyond, what they look like physically, or how they fit in with the crowd or whatever. Your menu is wider. You're looking at a lot more nuances to people than when you're kind of looking at it superficially, right? You're going deeper within yourself because you don't want to waste your time and your energy in something that's not going to go anywhere. But you conceded for, for expediency. As we get older, we know that our energy and, and our time and our spiritual abundance is valuable, right? And we have to show value for that. And in return, someone will reflect back to us the value that we put in ourselves. That's what I would say. So that's it for this particular episode. And also following this, there's going to be what we're calling a shareable song in question. That's going to be a video after this. And it deals, basically what a song in question is that a song that poses itself in the form of question or a question. So check it out. And if you feel so inclined that question that's in the song resonates with you, please feel free to, send it to someone else that you feel might find some resonance with the question as it's, as you hear the track, you'll know what I'm talking about. But that's it. Once again, we thank everyone. It has been, I feel like it's been a really good year, 2024. Right, Tony? I mean, I don't know how you feel, but I feel like a lot of things are happening. Things are being revealed. But the main thing is that we all have the opportunity to learn more about ourselves and therefore to grow, right? There's nothing to be afraid of. But we don't want to go backwards because you can't change anything backwards, right? You don't drive looking in the rearview mirror. You drive looking forward. And that's what we're all here trying to do and to grow. And relationships can be great for that, or to be honest, they can be a hindrance. It just depends, right? How that balance falls. So again, we thank you for the views, the subscriptions, the likes, all that stuff. We really appreciate it. Hope you, I guess we're getting ready to go into a new year, and it should be a very, very revelatory one. And hopefully, for all of us, we can find ourselves kind of on the upswing of consciousness, and we just roll with the flow of the universe. Once again, ashe and peace.